Afternoon, guys. Real 111T here. This is going to be part 2 of our looking at my auto emergency kit that I've put together. In the introduction video, I didn't go over one important part, and that is this 5-gallon military water jug. Now, believe it or not, all this stuff kind of fits with my seats folded down. It fits in the footwells, under the seats, and even this water jug fits in such a manner that I can still put, a car seat in front of it on that seat. Basically, all of this stows in there, and it doesn't interfere with me using the bulk of the vehicle's cargo space. Okay. Now, the water jug, I fill it 4 gallons full, and I put whatever the normal amount you put in to disinfect of bleach, seal it up, okay, and then I rotate that. And the idea there is that even though there might be canteens, water bottles, we've all watched Lost. My car is usually swimming with pop bottles. So if there was an emergency, I could fill, any number of them from this. If I was up to the camp for the weekend and we needed some water, 4 gallons is a decent amount. If someone was thirsty, it's more than enough to prepare whatever food there is in here. So I just wanted to, mention that because I realized I'd forgotten it. We're going to get into what some of this other stuff is. That's a cat. He doesn't go in the car, not usually. But we're going to get into, let's see, what are these first two here? I've got the one that says cover combustion and tools, and then the one that says IFAC, blanket, and trash bags. Should be pretty self-explanatory. Let's open them up and take a look. Hang on a second, guys. I'll be right back. Okay, and one other point I didn't make about the water jug is I've been kind of treating that, and hopefully this won't bite me in the butt, as a 3-season thing. Spring, summer, fall. Because I can keep that pretty safely in there. Now, I only keep 4 gallons of water in it, so that if it were to freeze frozen solid, it would definitely be safe. Those military jugs are pretty robust. I'm pretty sure I did freeze it with more than 4 gallons in it, and it was okay. But I also acknowledge that basically, if it isn't frozen into a block, it's pretty well useless. So why bother have it in there? So basically, if it's well below freezing, I'm not going to carry that, and I'm just going to have to rely on whatever liquids I brought with me to drink that particular day, and what else I can find around. I definitely have the ability to boil water. But let's get into this first one. This is the one labeled blanket, IFAC blanket, and garbage bags. Okay, so what we got in here, it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can get a light down in there. Okay, you see this is one of these German bags that has this plastic liner, and you can kind of see that now. It's kind of a plasticky material. Down there I've got a wool blanket. It's one of the Italian surplus ones from before people started counterfeiting them. What a world. And to go along with that, that's good if you're sheltering in place in the vehicle, if you're using the vehicle as a shelter, which really should be your first option if you are stranded, is to stay in the vehicle. Even if the engine's not running, inside of a car, you're outside of the weather. You might get cold, but you're not getting exposed to rain, and you're not getting exposed to wind. It's a pretty weatherproof kind of enclosure if it's safe. If you're stranded off the side of a road because you had some vehicle issue and there's accidents going on all around you, it's a winter storm and there's people driving at 70 miles an hour and truckers going by and bad accidents going on, you might consider moving away from the roadway, especially if you got emergency services coming to help you get your vehicle out of the ditch. Depending on the road conditions, I know people who've been hit by cars after they got into an accident. You're on a highway and you get into some incident off the side of the road, and you get out of your car and you're running around. People aren't expecting, on the interstate, you're not expecting people moving around. Okay, and visibility is bad sometimes, and the road surface might not be as well treated as it needs to be. So in that situation is the only situation where I might consider, where I was really in fear of the fact that another vehicle is going to come plowing along into me. Then I say, get out of the vehicle. All other situations, you get lost on some backcountry road and your car gets stuck, stay with the car. That's the biggest mistake. And if there's more than one of you, and one of you gets the bright idea, you stay here, I'll walk back to that gas station we just passed 10 minutes ago. Tell them no. And if it's you, don't think that, because that's a big mistake. Leaving your vehicle in that sort of situation, you're much better off. If you got weather going on, you're much better off just waiting it out. See, flagging somebody down. If you see a car coming, see if you can get some help. Cell phone, should always have your cell phone charged and ready to go. Okay? So that's just a little rant on that kind of stuff. Other stuff we have in here, there's not a whole heck of a lot in here. That blanket takes up a little over half, and this other stuff is just kind of crammed in there. But it's kind of like-minded stuff. We got one of those grabber. It's basically a space blanket, but it's a heavy-duty space blanket, which can be used as a shelter to make a shelter. But it could also, my thought with this was to just use it as a blanket. Okay. They're pretty good. I've got a couple of them that I use, when we go to, sporting events and stuff like that, or Shakespeare in the Park or whatever. And it's good. They're good to have around, basically. And it's good to have extra ones stowed away for when you need them. Okay. This one right here is an Adventure Medical Kits. This is the Thermalite 2 Bivy. I think they've come out with a new version of this, that Soul Bivy or whatever it is. Supposedly a different material. I've had a decent amount of luck with this. This, believe it or not, guys, has been out of the package. It's one of the few kind of compact space blanket things that is possible to roll up and put right back in the same pouch. That's one thing these things have going for them. They are more robust. It's still kind of, synthetic material, so you be careful with it around a fire. But it works on its own as a summer sleeping bag. You can use this as a sleeping bag in the summer when you're backpacking, if you're looking for a super ultralight thing. And I imagine those other ones probably work a little bit better, because from what I understand, they improved this a little bit for those new Soul ones. It's not the cheapest item. I think that one cost me $30, and I think that the other ones run a little bit more than that. But it's there, and anything you could do, if you got yourself into this in the wintertime inside your car, and then you wrapped yourself in the wool blanket, you'd be doing pretty good. And if on top of all that, you put this wool watch cap inside the car, inside that, with this over you, you would be even better off. You might not even need to run the engine. Okay? So that's the other thing. If you're in a situation where the engine is running, you're just stuck, and you're in that position, just, first of all, don't go anywhere in the wintertime without a half a tank of gas. And if you get down to a half a tank of gas, pull over to the nearest gas station and fill it up to full again. And I understand, money's tight and it's tough, but driving around with an empty gas tank is just asking for it. If you get stranded, you're done. If you get into a bad traffic jam, you can be done. This happened up in Buffalo, not too far from here, a couple of years ago, where a snowstorm hit right around rush hour, and all these people driving home, the interstates, the feeders around the city, the big highways, they had clogged up with vehicles, bumper to bumper traffic, hardly moving at all. A couple accidents can cause that. And then what started to happen? When people are sitting in bumper to bumper traffic for an hour, 2 hours, that little 20-minute trip you're about to take, all of a sudden you're burning more gas. And people don't think about that. When you're sitting still, unless you got a hybrid, right? Well, like a Prius or something, when you're sitting still in a traffic jam, you're still burning gas. And what these people discovered is having just above E on gas, if all things were fine, that would be fine. They would have gotten to their destination. Maybe they would have turned around and gotten back. But what ended up happening then is their cars started dying on the highway. And this just happened to one or two people. Happened to a bunch of people. And that made the whole problem worse. So do everyone a favor, yourself and everyone. If the weather is bad, just make it a rule that you're not going anywhere without at least a half tank of gas. Okay? and know how far that'll take you, you know. Okay, I'm really done with that rant now. Okay, over here, just a couple more items. We got like a Ziploc bag here full of, it looks like 4 or 5 of those kind of heavy duty, what are these called? Compactor liners. Basically what it is about the size of a kitchen bag, but about as tough as a contractor 55-gallon drum liner. Okay, you can find these at Walmart. They're evidently designed to go into a trash compactor, which I don't have. But like I said, these bags are really tough. And, you know, while full-size drum liners are good, these are mainly in here for use around camp. You get up there, you're hanging out there for a while, you see some garbage, you want to pick it up. That's why those are in there. I mean, obviously, you could find all kinds of other uses for them. There's a couple of Ziploc bags here, which are good. This is a good emergency thing to keep around. You know, if you had stuff you didn't want to get wet, if you're, you know, you had your cell phone for some reason and it was going to get wet for some reason, you know, you could get an OtterBox or all these other fancy things. Ziploc bag works pretty good, and it doesn't have to just be that. It could be, you know, any of your personal items that you don't want to get wet. Okay, plus, you know, a million and one other uses. And then what we got here is another one of these. You've seen one of these, just to prove that it's a different one. That's my, I've got a bunch of these. Sportsman's Guide was selling them in 2-packs. And, you know, when Sportsman's Guide sells things in 2-packs, I tend to buy more than one 2-pack. So, yeah, this is just the Alice first aid kit, individual first aid kit. And they showed up, the cases showed up in a variety of different conditions. You know, it's got this living plastic hinge on it right here, which is kind of crap, but it makes a pretty decent seal. And if the thing cracks, like this one looks like it's just about ready to go, I just wrap some duct tape around it and that's fine. I can't get into it quite as fast, but you know, you see I've made some additions, similar kind of modifications I made to that. Got some like single serve like drugs here, and then, you know, they have these are great. These are the trauma dressings and bandages, you know, that have the nylon that you wrap all the way around. Some bug spray, because you always get out to the property and there's no bug spray, and also some sunscreen in there. So, yep, and I don't know what this is. Oh, that's an eye patch, I think. All right, so give me a second here. I'm going to get this stuff put away, and we're going to get on to the next bag. Okay, so taking a look here. This is the module labeled Cover, Combustion, and Tools. Okay, and we'll just go through what we got in here. It shows a good reason to go through and make videos like this, or even just to look through your stuff. What I find is another one of these sportsman's blankets in this one. Yeah, I knew I had another one somewhere. This is one that I've used, and I put into one of those Ziploc bags. I don't know if it's a Grabber brand one, but yeah, so we got another one of those blankets there. Plus, this is a Mylar blanket that I've used. Okay, and then another winter hat. And it might seem like overkill here, guys, but if I have to leave the car on foot, I'm going to be pulling from these different kits. I'm going to rip them all apart in the time that I have, and take a look at what I got in there. Okay, so I'll just pick and choose what I want, and I'll put it all in either one of these things, or maybe one of these things. And I also, in my car, I have, and it's in there right now, I have a Kelty Red Wing that has nothing in it, that's in between the seats folded down. Okay, so I could obviously just pull things that I needed out of each one of these kits, but that's in a situation where I have to leave the car. There's plenty of situations where I'm staying with the car, or I'm operating out of the car, that I wouldn't need to do that. I could just go to the relevant kit and pull out what I needed. But I should probably remember this is in there, or maybe I don't even need to put this back because I've got it covered in the other one. But the hat is a good thing to have multiples of, because you don't know who's going to be in the car with you. Okay, so the hat, it's not a super duper hat, you know, it's not wool, but it's definitely better than nothing. If you had to end up staying in the car with someone huddled under that wool blanket, and there's only one hat, you know, I don't know. This is the way I think of it, guys. Being that just the way I would treat any sort of female that I was with. If I only had one hat, she's getting it, okay, and then I don't have anything. So, having that sort of mindset, it behooves you to have more than one. Okay. So let's move right along here. Got some black paracord there. You know, it's just the Rothko stuff. It works well enough for me. I got some jute twine. I don't know how. I don't remember putting that in there, but I'm pretty sure I'm the one who put it in there. One of these cheapo little folding shovels. And this, I might have talked about this before in the fire lighting video. This is my Zippo overhaul kit. So I could take this and fuel and put flints in and change wicks on a Zippo. There's actually one in there that doesn't have the flint in it. Okay, so there's that. I EDC a Zippo, so there's that. Okay, and I mean, just those two things there are a huge amount of fire lighting potential. I've got some matches because it's cold out. Here we have a Fresnel lens and some char cloth. It's kind of hard to see what that is, but take my word for it. I have one of these wax balls. I probably should have more of these. I've got a package of this wet fire stuff. That works all right. Let me put this over here. Okay, I got a bandana, saw, some scissors, really something that you end up going for. So, you know, I classify that as a tool, and then when I go to the kit, I know, oh, well, I need to get into that. One of the 7-packs of the Walmart lighters. Okay. Right here, this is what's in the bottom of that. And this is a fairly decent Swiss Alpenflage vinyl poncho. Now, if you guys don't know what these things are, they've been on the market, the surplus market, for a long time. Sportsman's Guys have been selling them for years, 5 for $5. What they have going against them? A couple things. They're made out of vinyl and not nylon, but they're really heavy duty, okay? Some people just can't get over the smell because they smell like a shower curtain, basically. But this is a heavy-duty military surplus poncho that they were selling for $3. You know, what can you get for $3? Well, you could get 3 of these for $3, or you could get 1 of these. And, I mean, it's such a ridiculous no-brainer. I got this here for maybe a situation where I don't want to pull that out, or if I want to give something to someone that they're going to take with them. But I've got a bunch of these, and you can still find them at various different outlets. The price has gone up. Availability is more spotty. That's a sign that the supply of them is drying up, guys. If you're curious about them, go get one somewhere. Okay, I didn't go over this pouch. This is basically a toiletry kit. Toothpaste, toothbrush, some wipes, some feminine products in case my wife needs them. You know, basically the rationale here is, remember that scenario I was talking about where the people were getting stranded in their cars? Well, what would happen is police would come by with four-wheelers, or I don't know how they were coming by, but they were coming by and basically rescuing them from their cars, and they were taking them to shelters. And all I'm saying is aside, in addition to some clothing, a change of clothes, would it be nice to have a toiletry kit? How hard is it to put together a toiletry kit in one of these little Walmart pencil cases? You know, they have those Husky pouches at Home Depot that work well for that. But how hard is it to do that, guys? And just have it in your kit and be able to grab it and go, and, you know, not have to worry about the fact that, you know, you've been a couple days away from home and your breath must stink, you know, when you're talking to people who are trying to help you. Okay? Makes you feel a little less like a dirtbag, basically. All right. Moving on. Here are like the bulk of the tools that are in this pouch. There are other tools in the car. I was talking about how I've got like some little cargo compartments. You know, there's vice grips and all kinds of other stuff. And maybe I'll go into that. But like I said, that'll be the last segment. Okay. We got here is a super tool. One of my first Leathermans right here, super tool. This is the first super tool. This thing here is a piece of hacksaw blade with duct tape wrapped around it. That is for striking the ferro rod. Works pretty well. There's the stock one, I guess. Here's another Zippo that goes with this, because this is kind of like a grab-and-go, like flashlight, little mini mag light, tool, a Zippo. You know, then there's a Bic in here as a backup, and there's a Fisher Space Pen right there. Is basically what's in here. Oh, and there is one more thing. It's like a little cheapo crescent wrench. Okay, so you can do a lot of stuff with those. You know, if you had to disconnect a battery, you could do it with that stuff. You know, it might not be the most convenient. I recommend getting together some tools that are specific to your car. Like I know on my car, they use 10mm screws for a lot of different stuff. So I'm going to get some 10mm bit drivers. So, you know, just thinking that way, you know, because that's one of the other uses of some of this stuff is in case there's an automotive related incident. Something that's not like an emergency or a disaster, but like you need to make an emergency repair to your car, you know. So that's some of this stuff kind of fulfills that. Okay. Over here we got, you know, we already saw this poncho, and then here's another one of these. These things came in those Johnson & Johnson first aid kits, and I honestly didn't use most of them. I pulled them out. So there's one of those, and then I've got a 2mm plastic drop cloth. Okay, so basically the cover component is really these items here. You know, the idea that you could make a shelter basically. Well, and this, and maybe this. You could make some kind of shelter from this if you had to. If I wanted to make like a little like lean-to, or heck, I could probably make a super shelter, right? While I was up at the property, if I wanted to do that, you could with this stuff. So, yep, basically that is what we got going on here. And join me for the next segment where we're going to look at some of the other modules.